Jesus. All right, welcome back to the Off the Clock Show. Joined again with Sean Gervais from OrbisX and Marshall Hill from the Pints and Polishing Podcast, as well as Hyper Clean Car Care Products. And I'm sure if some of you have received, there's some Memorial Day discounts that were sent around. So hopefully you guys all cashed in on those things.
Hopefully you got one of these shirts.
Yeah. Here we go. What?
Yeah, left lane is for violence.
Yeah, I love it.
Dude, serious.
love
This
it.
past weekend, I was about to start yelling. I mean, it was getting serious.
It was getting serious.
They're like, yelling? We do a lot more than yelling. Like, yeah,
Yeah. Pow, pow. Yeah. Seriously. Man, that's wild. But yeah, it's true.
You know, we get the person that just sits, like, right? But we get those people. But the worst to me is the truck, not the full big truck. Like, I get that we're always yelling at them, like, why do you even go over? You're going to pass, but it's going to take you 10 minutes? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
why not wait, my guy? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
And especially when there's like no one behind you.
Yeah.
And then they could have went behind you, easy breezy, but yeah.
So the ultimate one happened this weekend, and it's just a normal truck guy, like F-150, pulling a U-Haul.
Okay.
And somebody lets them over, right? We are in a little tight arrowway. There's not a lot of room. He's sitting there with his blinker on, back behind some trucks, some semi-trucks. And the guy in front of me slows down and lets him over. And
Man. And you're like, bro, come on. Like, you can't be
literally, then you get those people that, 10 minutes later start flying around you.
Yeah.
They think they're going to pass you, and so they just go crazy, flying. And it's like, no, man, there's semis there. There's this guy. No. And then they have to go the walk of shame all the way back the line.
Yeah,
right? Because nobody's going to let him in.
I love
like, no
those.
fucking way you're getting over, man.
Yeah.
No way. I have to sit behind this U-Haul, too. You're going to sit back there.
Exactly.
And they
Your
have
time's
to
not
keep
anymore
going backwards. Yeah. Brutal.
That's the best. Oh my god. Yeah, I love those moments. I hate the moment where you can see that's like starting to happen and you're getting excited for it, and then there's one guy that's just like, and they wave them in, and I'm like, no, man, you're fucking it up for all of us. We're all waiting for this guy to do the walk of shame.
You motherfucker.
Man, yeah, that's crazy. Jesus. Yeah. Are you finding a lot more people on the road nowadays? Like, weather's nicer, this, that, people out there just like leisure driving?
No, can't say
Any
that.
kind of traffic?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm usually working. I'm not leisurely driving anymore.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair.
But I guess I really only drive around on the weekends now. I don't. Yeah, so I don't know how to. Yeah.
Okay. Fair,
But we were, one thing this weekend. Did you guys do Memorial? You guys don't do Memorial Day.
No, we don't do Memorial Day. We have something called Victoria Day, but we do it a week before you guys. So ours was last week, and then we had it's same thing. It's like a Monday. It's for Queen Victoria. She's not here anymore. Now there's a king, but
Your daddy.
was it last one? Yeah. Daddy's home. He's actually home, literally. He came to check in on the colony because we're still a colony of Britain.
Trump's talking about the 51 maybe coming over, so he's, your daddy's got to come make sure that doesn't happen, I guess.
Yeah. He's got to, he's like, listen, I know I stepped out to get eggs and milk, but Daddy's home now. It's not happening. He's basically, what was it, Mark Wahlberg, I think, in that movie there, Daddy's Home. Yeah, it's a good movie. But he's here visiting. So there's a lot more traffic. Obviously, people wanted to go see him. They had something like 35 Suburbans or something like that that blocked off a whole strip. We have a street that's surrounding our version of the White House. So it's our Parliament buildings, and that whole street it's extremely wide, and it was built that way on purpose so that if there was ever an attack from the south, if someone wanted to make us the 51st state, they could park tanks there. That was the idea behind it, right? So they made it super wide, and so now what they've done is they just, it's basically a big festival there right now kind of thing, celebrating the king. It's a hilarious thing because you get a lot of Canadians right now saying, this is great because we're fighting for our independence against becoming the 51st state by having the King of England come protect independence
Canadians have a weird way of
while
thinking.
being dependent on. Yeah. Basically, it's just like we're just trying to choose who our stepdad is. That's all it is. Okay, we're just like, hey, mom, come on, like that's what's happening right now. And so it's it's an interesting dynamic, because like. We are independent in some aspects, but they have representatives from England that are in our parliament. They help. They don't really pass bills, but they kind of.
Yeah, wouldn't that be like the dream job? Like you're
Yeah.
important, but you don't really do anything.
Yeah, exactly. We just need you there.
Yeah,
But no, you're not going to do
gotta
anything.
be there. And what
Yeah,
am I
yeah.
gonna do? Well, not much. How
Just
much am I
be
gonna
there.
be paid? A shit ton.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in.
I'm in. Yeah. Sign me up. Yeah. You get all the best everything, and you just report back basically. That's yeah. What a cushy job, huh?
Damn,
Jesus.
how do I get? What's that?
Yeah. What's the website there? Yeah. It's true, but yeah,
What's that
it's
commercial that Indeed, I guess, right?
mm,
When you're looking for your new the place that fits or whatever is the new one.
yeah,
The guy
yeah.
walks into this really tiny office and he's trying to fit in. It's like, here, find a place for you to fit in.
Yeah, we'll find a place for you to fit in. Yeah.
Great ad. I always like that one. It was a good one.
Yeah. Man, so
We were watching this weekend. Do you remember Anthony Bourdain? Did you ever watch that?
no. Maybe.
You need to go look him up.
Sounds familiar.
Look him up on YouTube. Started a long time ago. Did it for like 15 years or something. Ends up later committing suicide. Really talented writer and very talented chef. And leaves his restaurant world and goes and starts traveling around. First with like the Food Network, I think, or the Travel Channel, one of those. Ends up going CNN. I mean, full on show CNN. So it got to be huge. But yeah, you go look it up. There was some of the very first, the way foodies do their kind of slow motion into food,
Yeah.
They were the first to do that, but this was before cameras could do slow motion.
Oh,
So
sure.
from the artistic camera side, I really tip my hat to the producer, because one of the very first shows where they would go into and show while somebody was talking, still go into the food, but it would happen just real fast, and the people would be going. And you go, well, today we could slow it down, but back then, right, they didn't do it. So you could see it, and you could tip your hat. And it was also the very early ones are very pixelated, right? Like they're very grayish, right? That grayscale more than more than was it RBG we have now, or whatever, the 4K and all that stuff, right? So color wise, not so awesome. But the early shows were very, very interesting. I think you should go watch them.
Yeah.
Travels around, philosophizing, talking with people, getting into, different foods and stuff like that. Nice. But, we watched that. And as well, went and got pizza at one of our favorite places. We were sitting there, we're eating some pizza, talking about the show. And I'd got one of the spots right in the front by the patio where we were. Okay.
Right. Nice.
And so I would watch then, of course, people that were parallel parking in between. And all understand, right? And it's one of the very first cars that was leaving. Actually, it was the first car that I had parked next to. When she was leaving, I was very, very concerned. Let's just say that.
Edge of your seat. Yeah.
Was asked the question, right? Like, why are you so concerned? Like, really?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just certain ones you watch with a little extra right?
Attention. Like, 100%.
And that led us down the path to the question about just, well, when do you know if, and how do you know if that's the customer? How do you get the right person? You go, well, how in the world did you get from eating pizza, watching somebody parallel park, to going, is this the right person? Like,
yeah, because it's studying the individual.
But there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
100%.
That's how you get there, right? And I thought it was interesting. I just kind of put it in the back of my mind to talk about today. And I know some of the stuff you're going to talk about, I kind of think it ties in. I'm really excited about what you said that you're going to bring up, because I just go, but we don't want to say it's good to stereotype, right? I think a word after 9/11 was profiling really became big.
That was
right?
Yeah. It's true.
But it happens. And it
happen.
actually can happen towards a good way. if you do like what Sean's talking about, and you can really profile your right customer base.
100%.
And I bet you, even if Sean, if people go, "Hey, I'm not sure if I'm so great at that. I don't know how I could determine if somebody's, you know what? There's somebody that if you'll sing the song, I'll get some more credits and I can eat some more pizza." She could probably help with that. So, what questions do we need to ask if we're going to profile, right? Because a lot of it comes out of that show, Anthony Bourdain's, right? So, he's got multiple shows that go over the years, but one of them's like no reservations, right? I want to have 0 reservations. I think a lot of us would go and say, hey, when I end the day or when I end the week, I really want to have 0 reservations. When I'm done, I want no reservation. I want to leave it all out there. I want to go get as much as I can.
Yeah.
So to do that, we do have to profile a little bit, don't we? Because
100%. Yeah. I think profiling, you're right, it can be done in a negative way, but also can be done in a positive way more often than not, too. Like, it depends what I think your intention is when you profile somebody. If you're a police officer, maybe we're getting into negative territory. If you're a business owner, profiling can be really helpful. We do it when we interview new staff. You profile them for sure. Someone walks in, depending on how they're dressed, how they're this, that. We tend to, I feel, assess new staff members more critically than we do customers. You know, like we take a look at like, oh, well, I went through, this guy's Facebook page. I don't think he's going to be a right fit for my company. You know, we do stuff like that, but we don't really like profile our customers like that often. And I think we should, for 2 reasons. One, finding the right customer is always going to lead to more of those customers because you'll have an idea of how to target them better, where they go, so on and so forth. But you also avoid, if you profile the bad customers, it also helps you see those red flags and you can say, ooh, not for me.
one of the things that I don't think people really, once you said that, I kind of thought about it. I know people think about is, you said when you've got a good customer, there's also this vibe.
Oh, big time.
But I don't think we think of energy enough and vibing with people and what that does for them, what that does for you.
Yeah.
There's a part of when you can get to the right people and get away from the wrong people, you begin to having and that vibe, regularly working with the right people. Yeah. Something about your day, something about your week, something about everything, right? Isn't it just better?
It is better.
And people are like, oh, I want the ones with the money.
They're not always the ones you're going to vibe well with, though. Yeah. Like it's
you have some people that you started looking at, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mentioned that we're going through this new naming convention for our packages, things like that. And I said, there's neighborhoods here near our shop. They have a lot of neighborhood pride in where they live, the naming, everything like that. The parks are named after the neighborhood. And I was like, we should have a package named for them. Some coffee shops do stuff like this, and it works really well for them. Sandwich shops, things like that. I feel that targeting those kind of people is often better for us. And the neighborhood I'm referring to isn't a predominant, it's not a wealthy neighborhood at all. The people that live there, most of them, if I had to guess, average salary is like they're middle to lower class. It's not even, they're like in the 40 to 60,000 household income range, right? And I think that from my experience, what I've seen is those people tend to actually come more often. And they want a really good detail, a really good clean. They're not expecting absolute perfection. Whereas some of the guys that come in from our wealthier neighborhoods, those guys oftentimes they're driving different types of vehicles. We're not talking about Lambos here. I'm talking about like there's guys that come in, they've got like 7-8 figure net worth. They're driving like Hyundai Santa Fe's, things like that. Like they're not coming in with Lambos. They're coming in with something else. But they look at every dime that they're spending and they say, no, I need to squeeze this and get the most out of it. They're kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest.
So it's not necessarily just how much money somebody makes, right? So that's not the profile, right? There's got to be something else. You mentioned filthy, right? I think there's some people that. A lot of them. I wonder, does and this is weird, don't misunderstand me, but is weight, right? If somebody's more clean, are they probably not necessarily have to be
Yeah.
bodybuilder fit, but
But they're what you might
somewhere
call like athletic.
valuing, yeah, right?
Yeah, 100%. You know who a huge demographic is for us? And I think it's one detailers don't really consider, but walkers. And I know that might sound strange, but walking groups. We've had a lot of success with walking groups. So there's like running clubs. There's
How perfect. Mobile detailer.
oh man,
Mobile detailer, let me come meet and where you guys start. Was what 10 to 15 cars going to be right there.
yeah,
Let's get a
clean them
package
all.
for this moment while they're out for a walk, right? So then you can't go. I'm not doing a full detail because they're out for a walk.
Yeah.
It's got to be quick. You gotta be able to turn and burn because you got so much time to get these 10 cars
Yeah,
done.
you're boom, 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 boom. We're not talking like showroom ready here. We're talking, hey, I've got a week or 2 weeks worth of debris and build up. Maybe I have pets, whatever. We're talking make this vehicle look very clean. Cleanliness is important to me, but I'm not going under each seat with a flashlight, that kind of thing. It's not that level of detail, which will reflect in the price, but also reflects in the time that you spend on each vehicle. It's volume here, and so yeah, those kinds of things like you're going to a pond where there's 10 to 15 people, they're meeting up, and these aren't people that are going, they're not walking, half a mile. We're talking people that are going for a walk for like an hour, an hour
Yeah,
and a
they'll
half.
go for an hour, a couple hours.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know.
exactly. But the biggest thing we've noticed with those people, based on our profiling of them, is that their cleanliness is important to them. Appearance is important, but not in the way that most might think, because they're not in the bodybuilder realm. They're walking to stay active, to stay fit, but they very much care about their appearance. They're always nicely dressed. That's one thing we notice, big time. They invest in their the hobby. I guess running would be a hobby or walking. They invest in their activity. Their activity, we'll say. But the big thing is, what the number one thing for us is we don't look for overall net worth and wealth. We look for access to disposable income and willingness to part with it. Those are the two key things that we look for, because we have some very wealthy clients. They have disposable income, but they don't consider it disposable in terms of, yeah, they might get a detail here and there, things like that. But for them, it's more active money that they want to use for investments, things like that. They're less concerned. They've already kind of hit those milestones where, like the one guy that I was mentioning before, he's a billionaire. He's like, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. This guy wears flip flops all the time. Like he's like, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Because he's already hit a milestone, hit a level that he's like, I have nothing left to prove to anybody. I can buy anything I want. I can do this and that. So he just doesn't really care. Whereas
Well,
the other
and
people,
some people say that money actually emphasizes more of who you are. Doesn't change you. It emphasizes more, right? So this guy is probably always has been casual. So now he's even
that's
more
true. More
casual, right?
casual
Like,
because yeah, that's true. That's a very good point actually, and that is something that I see. And same thing, these people that walk, they in their what we find, I should emphasize that too, is that they're usually a little bit older. It's rare that we get people that are in
like
the
65 ish,
yeah, I even
50
go
to
so low as
70.
they're around 54.
Oh, okay.
Ended up being our average, and the reason it ended up being the average is some of them bring their children. So their children might be 35, something like that.
54, 55. They're still active enough to be going to work, probably. Their cars are
Yeah,
still going to get dirty enough. If they
exactly.
get too old, right, the car sits not, more.
Yeah, it's
Not
true.
driven.
And
Yeah.
but here's one of the beauties about it, okay? Soccer moms are great, and it's a huge demographic of ours. Very easy to profile a soccer mom, obviously. Just start by looking for a van. That's a good place to start. Or, a lengthy SUV, things like that. But soccer moms are a good demographic for us. But
Kia kind of took over a lot of that, right? The Telluride, the Palisade. A lot of
that's
those
true.
soccer moms love the.
Oh yeah, because it's kind of a mix of both, right? It's you're not the soccer mom traditional in the van, but it still has the same space. You've got some towing capacity, different things, the little gadgets and all that. But yeah, that's actually a good point there. But what we find is that the soccer moms, even though they're a good demographic, they are time consuming, very much so for a bunch of reasons. We do get the ones that are like, hey, listen, I want to drop this off. I've got to go run some errands. I got this and that, and da da da. They're just in and out. Sure. but they're still dropping off a war zone most cases, right? So we try and push them heavily on a maintenance package or now our peace of mind packages because then it doesn't get as filthy. The buildup is less in between visits. However, we have noticed a lot of these niche markets like the running clubs, they have disposable income, they care about their appearance, they care about cleanliness overall, and the most important thing is that they have an activity that occupies them for a period of time, but also there's not a tremendous amount of buildup. Most of them, so on the higher age range, so the ones that are maybe in the 60s, 65, as soon as they get up there, a lot of them are widows. So a lot of them, they lost their spouse. Their husband might have been a little bit older, so maybe he was in 70s, 75, so he's passed. She's now looking for a hobby. She wants to be social. She wants to get out there. So she goes on these long walks because they just spend the whole time chatting. She has nowhere to be after this. So she's like, yeah, they're just out there. One of them talked to us about squirrels and birds that she had seen, and she was pointing out all the different types of them. She said, I bought this book, and I learned how to identify them and all this kind of stuff. It's like, but you know what? Hey, she gets her car cleaned once a week. Perfect. You know what I mean? Literally, you see it on the second week, and it looks just as the same way almost as it was on the first week. You see her on the third week, and it's the same thing. Almost nothing happens to these vehicles, but it's a routine. She's got something going on. This is what I do, and once she's in that routine, she's a creature of habit now. And so we found that to be really, really, really successful. But there's other groups like this that you can profile and you can find that are similar to this, but you just have to figure out from your customer base what's going on.
And so the next part of it has to be in a sense of, then does opposites attract or do similarities attract?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Because, let me ask, because you just mentioned a lady and you mentioned some things and you go, okay, the people that get their car cleaned once a week, what are they going to look for in a company? And here's why I said that about opposites attract or similarities attract. In this case, opposites do not attract.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I agree.
They want clean, right? They want you to have clean look, clean personality, clean hair, clean beard, untrimmed. What do you got over there, Sean? You got to get that stuff dialed in. Like, you better have a clean shop or clean mobile unit, whatever it is. It had to be fancy.
Yeah.
Just needs to be clean.
Needs to be clean. Yeah, it's true. Like, you ever walk into a dentist office? Usually it's pretty sterile. It's, you know what I mean? And so you're like, okay. I mean, hopefully you're going to a dentist where it looks sterile. But if you walk in there, there's a certain, like, even the waiting room, everything, it's that cleanliness because you're going there and someone's going to be in your mouth cleaning things. If you walked into the same thing and there was, flies buzzing around or there was this and that, the carpet's all muddy, you might be like,
so something I used to struggle with, Sean, I don't know about you, but my hands would always get dirty. My pants would get dirty. I loved khaki. Khaki shorts, man. My khaki shorts get dirty real fast.
Oh yeah, big time.
Real fast. And there was a while I didn't care. I did not care. I was wearing my khaki shorts every day. But I would buy them so that I could wear them every day, right? I'd buy 4 or 5. So that's still what I do today. But I have switched to black, right? I still wear black.
Yeah.
There's parts of things that we can do. And I say this because I know I see the photos. We joked about the guy that was sponsoring, an ad. And he was wearing just jeans and a T-shirt, right? Like, so you see people doing it and you go, hey, little things that you could do to attract the people that want cleanliness.
Yeah.
Well,
you have to represent.
You have to represent. And then guess what? Yeah. That means you have to get a routine. That means you have to put stuff that you do on a regular basis. That means you need to start depending on other people to do things for you on a regular basis, right? Like, all this stuff plays into then you being, in a sense, in that vibe with somebody that also likes cleanliness, likes a schedule, likes a routine. Because when they say something that matches your routine, what are you going to go, oh, I like to do that too.
Yeah.
Oh, do you put it in your calendar? Oh, I do too. Boom. Yeah. Oh, do you do that? Okay, I do too, right? a lot of
you
those
built up
things
that
of how
vibe.
somebody right?
Yeah.
What does that do? It creates rapport,
Yeah.
creates vibe, creates functionality back and forth. But if you never had that in your routine, in your psyche, in the way you operate, it's
Yeah.
going to be a lot harder to get that lady. Now, the good thing is, sing the song. And how does Luna then get to
Yeah.
help you, right? If you're not that way, if you're not very organized, if you're not punctual, if you're not up to, good thing is you got Luna.
Yeah, 100%. And that's where, OrbisX can help you accomplish all of those things. Staying punctual, following up with customers, building that routine and that vibe with them. Even so much as things like the special dates messaging. So you go into Luna and you say, hey, I want to create some messages to send for my customers for birthdays, anniversaries. It could be anything. Like maybe you go find the running club and you're like, oh, you just started at the running club? That's amazing. What day did you start? Oh, I started 2 weeks ago Monday. Oh, that's cool. Put that in. Put that in as a special date. Be like, running club anniversary. And then you set that with a template that Luna makes you and you send it out and you're like, hey, Barb, just wanted to congratulate you on being in the running club for a year. That's going to go out automatically the next year, and then it'll go out again the year after that, and so on and so forth. So you're following up, and then Barb's like, oh, awesome. So it helps build that rapport and keep that rapport going, because you can't do it all. You can build the rapport initially, but if you don't maintain it, it's kind of like a balloon that you filled with air, and then you hit it, and it's just slowly falling and falling and falling. And unless you give it more taps, it's just going to fall down, hit the ground. And you need to keep that balloon in the air. You have to keep that relationship going. So you have to not only keep searching for new customers, but you have to also continue to build and continue that vibe with your existing ones. And that's where, Luna's going to be the most help for you. Absolutely. But
What else can it do? Text messaging?
yeah. Oh, you could text, email. I recommend both. The reason I say that in particular is depends on the message. We usually reserve text messaging at our shop for transactional things, quick things like confirming an appointment or appointment reminders, things like that. Something where it's like our special date messaging, we typically have those ones go out and we send stuff by email. And the big reason is because they're a little bit lengthier. We want it to be a little more meaningful, and so we send an email for something like that. But we also let them know, so it's not a surprise. We're like, hey, congratulations on joining the running club. We're gonna make sure that we send you, some motivation along the way of your journey. Now that you've joined or whatever it is, da da da. And then we also went, and there's a place here. They sell orthopedic shoes, but they also sell to a lot of
Most
running
retailers
shoes.
don't go this far with it, do they?
No,
Most of them
they
hear
really
you
don't.
say that, and they just,
They
oh,
just
okay.
in one ear, out the other. Yeah, yeah. But these are the kind of things where it sounds like maybe, oh my god, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. No, it's just a lot of it is you do something today that might take 2 hours, you automate it with OrbisX, and then the rest of it's going to just be done for you, right? So, like one good thing that we do is we go to the running room. That's one of the shops that's here, and they sell shoes. They have a huge target market that we want to go after. And they all talk. These people walk together. They recommend, oh, yeah, you're looking for a pair of shoes? Yeah, I got these ones at the running room, stuff like that. So we send out email blasts to customers that we've talked to, and we say, oh, running room, by the way, has a special on this weekend. Or, you should check the running room. They've got some spring specials coming up, things like that. Even if we don't know what the specials are, we know that every spring they do something. So we just send that out to them. And next thing you know, they're talking to their friends. They're like, oh, yeah, I just got notified from my car detailer about specials that are coming up at the running room. And they're like, oh, shit, no way. Who's your car detailer? It just opens up that whole conversation, right? And so for us, we try to corner a market where we find a niche like this and let's just get everybody that's like this, because we found that we had good experiences. We had a good vibe with them. They had a good vibe with us. We're less likely to have headaches with that group. That's what we found. And so they're profiling us to see if we're a good fit, but also we're profiling them to make sure that they're a good fit for us and also our other customers, because we want to make sure that we can streamline our services so we can do things like that. Like we can have a running room special where it's, hey, we'll meet at this place or this place or this place. We can do your thing. Come to our shop on this day, this day, this day, and you get these deals, things like that. So we do different things, but it starts with profiling, 100%. And it's not in a negative way. It's done in a way of, it's actually more in their favor, because the more customers that we have that are like-minded like them, the more we tailor our services and our offerings to people like that. And so it's kind of I don't know, it's layers. There's layers to it, But if you're out there just taking any old client and you're not profiling anybody, you're just going to get any old client and you're going to have a headache with this customer. Next thing you know, instead of focusing all your care and attention on the next round of appointments that are coming in, you've been arguing with the worst customer of your life, and now you're going into the next detail with that on your brain, and you're not going to put your all into it. It just kind of like compounds the problem. So that's where, profiling has all those secondary benefits you don't really think about in the beginning, where it's like, if I have more of these same customers, like you had said further to your point, your day is going to go better, your week is going to go better, your staff are going to be in a better mood. Overall, your whole ship just runs better. It's going to just flow through the ocean. You're going to dodge every iceberg. You're going to dodge every walrus, whatever the case is. But you're going to have a better trip. That was all I could think of, the walrus. Anyways, I saw your face. You were like, what the fuck? But, I think that overall, like a business, we tend to think of it as it's just transactional. Like, what is one customer different from the next customer? But there really is a difference. And some businesses, like, Pizza or Domino's Pizza, they focus on a certain demographic, and so they make their offer. It might not be for, like, the place you went for pizza. If you compare those two pizza places, I bet you the quality of the pizza where you went was better, but you're not necessarily the target market that Domino's is going after.
I think there's some people are going to go, Sean, you're stepping on some toes there saying Domino's isn't quality pizza.
I'm not saying it's not quality pizza.
But yeah, that's interesting. Let's compare, right? You got Little Caesars. You could step up to a Domino's, right? This was it's called Bricktown Brewery. What we like about it is they brew their own beer. Right? They white label somebody that's a local. I think it's Marshall's Brewery that brews it for them. Yeah, good name. It's a good brewery too. But so it is their formula. It's their beer, and we like multiple ones. I do. I think it's called so she likes Put Me in Kolsch it's a Kolsch style beer. And then a bluesberry where they put actual blueberry in. Then there's Ride the Pine, for IPA and stuff like that, because it's a lot of it from Bricktown is Oklahoma City, right? Where the Oklahoma City Dodgers and that type of stuff, right? So that's where all that comes from. Yeah. But when people are coming onto, whether that's our website, our Facebook page, or Instagram, I think those listeners that hear what we're saying, they're going to go, yeah, but how do I know how do I know how to profile, or how do I know what to ask? Because I want as many people as I can to come onto my Instagram, come onto my Facebook, and you go, I mean, that's a theory. It's a theory that you have as many people as you can, or you would kind of narrow it down already of knowing, like, no, these people, I don't want to mess with these people, so I'm never going to have something on my profile, my images, my menu, my words, things that they would say I never want to say. I really only want to talk to these specific type of people. Like, wait, really? You're gonna narrow down that far, even on, you would say certain words and not say certain words. You would do certain things and not do certain things. You would wear certain clothes and not wear certain clothes. Like, you really start to define out, hey, it's more than just something you guys are talking about. I got to actually start living this too. Like, it does become not just a theory. It becomes a way of life. You do have to be then specific about every single thing you're trying to do, because it makes the flow of that funnel so much easier. Once the right person gets in, that's going to flow with them a lot better, because yeah, they see the colors they want to see. They hear the words they want to hear, right? They find the prices that they want to pay. They see inside the packages what's written, and they go, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Makes sense to me. Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, it's true though, and that's where I think that a lot of business owners make the mistake initially is not identifying. They don't even profile themselves, basically. Like, what kind of business do I want to have? And that's where I would start. If you're unsure of what to ask and you're unsure how to profile customers, I would start by profile your own business, and you can do that with Luna as well. You can say, I want to help build a business profile for myself and figure out what kind of questions I should be asking or what kind of conversations I should be having, what kind of groups I should go after. So let's start with my business, and Luna will help you out with that. And you can say, I'm in this area. I would like to be, targeting people from this area, or I want to hit these revenue goals, whatever it is. Start that conversation, because when you look at like the city I'm in, there's a lot of different types of detailers. I'd say here, there's some may consider car washes, and there's some that others will consider, high class detailing. There's a range of spectrums, however you want to classify them. There's a place here, and they're doing extremely well, numbers-wise. It's called Tops Car Wash, and they're doing well because of how they structured things. They technically are a car wash, only in the sense that they actually have a car wash in their facility. But what they've done is they have 2 lanes. They have one lane for maintenance customers, so if you're paying a monthly subscription, you're in the priority lane, and then they have another lane for just the one-offs. But they have like 3 packages, and then maybe 2 add-ons, things like that, different price ranges. The most expensive one, I think, is maybe $99, something like that. And that's if you're getting the works, right? Actually, I think they call it the works. But anyway, the first step, your vehicle goes through a car wash, a literal car wash, okay? I know a lot of you are cringing right now, but just hear me out. Their business model is 100% based on volume. 100% based on volume. Your car exits the car wash. Instantly, they pull down some vacuums from the ceiling. They get 3 other guys come over, and they've got spray bottles, and they've got microfibers, and they attack your car like a Formula One like race pit. You know what I mean? And you're in and out, aside from the car wash side, you're in and out in 3 minutes. And then you're driving down the road. It looks spectacular. And of course, the next day, you start to see smudges of where the products they used and all kinds of stuff, right? It happens. But when you leave there, you feel fantastic. Okay? Their market, though, isn't the person that wants a full detail, that wants to drop their car off and wait for 3 hours or nothing. That's not their target market. Their target market is primarily, an Uber driver or someone that's just like, what? God, my wife's been nagging me to clean the car. I don't want to do it. So they go through there. They're not overly concerned. But they're making good money because there is a market for that. Now, they're going to have some repeat business, but it's not going to be the kind of thing where they're building like lifelong relationships where someone's like, oh yeah, I've been coming to these guys for 20 years or something. There are going to be people that use them often, but it's a different market that they're going after. But then you get the other guys that they're, higher end. Oh yeah, I have less quantity, but I have quality relationships. And if they're doing one-offs in that scenario, they're probably not going to do as well. But those guys usually are going to try and build better relationships. So it's, I've got X amount of customers, but I see them more frequently. Maybe I have, let's say, 10% of the customers of Tops, but I see these guys twice a week, once a week, twice a month, depending on the variation, but I'm seeing them frequently. That's the key there. So higher ticket value, but seeing them often, lower volume overall. But a lot of people don't take that time to assess where they fit. At AutoWorld, we fit kind of in the middle, in between those two, because we do offer both. We have almost 2 menus in a way. We have different menus for depending on the different demographics we go after. And we have our general price list listed on our website, but we have very specific ones that are tailored to specific groups and specific markets. And that's what we found works well for us. But our biggest focus is on the maintenance. It's on these same people coming back and coming back and coming back. And I'm not talking about spring details. I'm talking about
regular. Yeah,
regular.
Yeah, you and I definitely always been on that same page. I don't think most people in the industry can figure out. Nick, my partner, and I. You have a partner, Nick. Nick and I talk about this. Is like how many people could, how many people can make the money needed off of maintenance? And that's probably why there's so few people that go after it. And we go after the full detail. We go after the people that, regularly want a big job cleaning, right? Like, I think you probably see it just from the numbers, outside of auto wash, but just inside of, OrbisX, like
Yeah.
the amount of people that are getting full details or, deep, some type of beyond a wash and vac, right? Like beyond just the simple stuff. It's almost got to be what neat. It's got to be more of a heavy lift, right? Or else the person's not gonna pay the need for it. Why, right? Why, right? Is it because we haven't found the right customers, or is it because so much of the market's just in a different way? It's extremely difficult to find then, those few people. So we got to ask the question then, if we can't find those few people, then almost, which is why I think so many people ask this question in the group, but is a question that came out of the watching the person, trying to figure out parking the car. Like,
Yeah.
okay, who is the best customer for 2025? Like, what package is best? What is the thing to do that's going to generate the most excitement, the most awareness? What's going to be the package and the pricing that it creates the best avenue for marketing in 2025, right? Like that's where I kind of started thinking after, as I would sit through the weekend watching Bourdain and watching what he did. It was a good weekend, but that's kind of what's been drilling in my head. Like, all right, then there's got to, where is the main funnel of people in this moment of 2025 going into the summer? What are people going to look for? What package? Are people going to be looking at a lot of the ideas, of cars and what's happening with car prices? And then people are going to, want to maintain their car more. But what does that mean? Are they going to wait for the yearly, come back in detail? And then are they going to clean the car on their own in between? Are they going to go through a car wash? Are they, what are they going to do? Are they going to be the people that want a every 3-month type mini service, right? You could see how this would play out, right? If you're the detailer thinking the same thing, I think you should use Luna now to go in and go, what detail do most of my customers buy? How often do my customers buy this detail? Yeah. How do I then, can I market to other people or other people? If this is my prime package and what I do best at, then how do I go after more people like the people that buy this package?
Yeah.
Okay. How do I then go into people that buy this package and add on an upgrade of stack? How do I go in and do a 1-year Uno package designed for people that love to get their car done every year? I did. Not everybody gets to do these, Sean. If you haven't reached this level in your career, maybe one day you will. Those of you that listen.
God willing. God willing.
And you have not done your second Lamborghini. Well,
All right.
You're just not there yet.
Yeah.
Not owned one, Sean. Yeah. But, this was funny because last week I have one customer, right? We've talked about this. Yeah. It's just his second Lamborghini. I've never had a customer that has ever bought a Lamborghini besides this guy. And the first one was, remember I showed you, it's been now 6-8 months ago. Remember that first website that I did, Greener Car Care?
Oh, yeah.
And it had that, was it yellow or bright greenish? I don't remember, right? I'm colorblind. So but it had that Lamborghini.
Yeah, okay. That was.
Do you remember that one? Do you remember that website? You remember that? Had the girls holding the bottle?
I remember being really impressed, actually, by the way. Just for those that haven't seen it, Marshall put that together, and I was actually really impressed. It was 2000 and Yeah.
2008.
And for those of you who don't
2007,
know,
2008, somewhere
we're
in
going
that.
back before like Canva and Wix and all of this stuff. Like it was a very different ball game back then. That you were actually building a website. That's
Yeah.
where they said building the website. That's where it came from. You built it. It was not, oh, I just like edited some templates or something. No, no, no. This was, yeah, yeah. So you did a good job, man.
Thanks.
Honestly.
That was the
Yeah.
first Lambo was in that one.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the guy's never bought a Lambo again until now. Right? Like,
Which one
and
did he get now?
in between then, I've never had a customer that's ever bought a Lamborghini. We just Oklahoma, we just don't get many. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we
It's
have
not
some,
the-
and of course that market's grown. Don't get me wrong. Like I know, but it's just not what everybody else gets to experience. So,
Yeah, no, it's not.
it's not. So I joked with people, Nick, my partner, and Brian, some other people like when you get to my level, you get to clean your second Lamborghini.
It's your second one. Yeah, yeah. It's true.
He got that SUV. I don't even remember the name of it.
Oh, the Urus.
Yeah.
We just sold ours. We had a white one. Yeah, it's gone now. It's not a practical car, to be honest. It's nice. I know. Here's the thing. I know a lot of people say it's basically like the Audi, but it actually is quite different in a lot of ways. But it's just not a practical car. It's just not. Like it's I don't know. Depends on what you want, I guess. For me, the window drove me crazy. The rear window, oh, God, or the rear. It was like in like a jail cell, that little the little slit that you look through. That's what it was like. Brutal, 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 brutal. But
So I bring it up to go. This guy, he's not going to keep it very long. He never does. So
wait a minute, are you profiling him?
he got dose. Right, which is what I put on most of my customers that get dosed. They don't keep their cars but 2 or 3 years. But
You mean you don't put on a 10-year coating? What are you talking about?
we've got proven that dose will last 2 years, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. It's been lasting since 2017, 2 years. That's the cool part about them being in the market that long, right? Then you get to profile people, then you get to understand things, and then you go, cool. This guy's going to get this. His Rover that came in the week before got dose also. Because that's what I know his habit. I know what he does.
Yeah.
And there's where I want to say, we're in that 8-10 month, 1 to 2 year coding. I know there's still some honey out there. I know there's some sweet spots where there's
big time.
thousands and thousands of people that would love to get a 1 to 2 year code and keep their car looking great. And it's a great price point then for the detailer to put on. And that's where I think the packages that people are going to nail on.
Oh, I think so too. I think that is the future of, number one, maintenance. That's where people need to focus on because it makes your job easier as a detailer. But also, the biggest thing for me with how you guys have structured your ceramic coatings is it's very realistic. The customer understands that because it accommodates all scenarios, right? So, for example, most customers, like even our customers, the stats show our average customer keeps their car for around 2 to 3 years. That's what our stats are showing. After that, they dump it, they're on to something else, they got in an accident, or whatever the case is, 2 to 3 years, that's the average, right? So that falls very much in line with that. But as a chef, self-proclaimed, but I love cooking. I cook like crazy. I even do little videos, send them to families. Anyway, so that's why I'm going to check out that recommendation you had. But
well, I better start getting some of those videos in. I mean, geez, we've been recording how long? I've still yet to get any. Sometimes I'm like, hey, man, what's on the menu? But, I don't get any photos and cool stuff and all that.
All right, you know what?
Better step up your game, man. Now that you're saying videos, I ain't even got a photo.
Oh damn.
I've sent you photos and you're sending videos to people. Jeez.
Oh, yeah, man. And we were dog sitting for a friend the other day. So his wife gave birth. Congratulations. We were dog sitting, and we, believe it or not, we don't have any pets, but we do have a dog bed, dog bowl. We even have dog food. And my wife buys organic stuff from the farmer for dogs. It's crazy. She wants a dog, but we're not getting one. I refuse. We travel too much. It's not happening. Period. I don't like picking up poop. It's just not happening. But that being said, we have all of these things because occasionally we'll dog sit for other family and things like that. So we're dog sitting, and I sent my buddy some videos because I was cooking up steak and a bunch of stuff, corn, beans, a whole heap of stuff. And he's like, "Man, that looks delicious." I said, "That's for your dog, man. That's for Nova." He said, "What are you talking about?" I was filming different angles. I was sending there was like the smoke coming up from the pan. Like, yeah. But and we fed it to the dog. But I was like, yeah, the dog needs to have some flavor in his life too. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, he told me for about a week after the dog came home, the dog was just sitting by the door. And the dog did not want to be home. He was like, send me back there, you know? But yeah, so avid chef though, love cooking. I even have a jacket that says Mr. Gervais on it, like the chef's code, everything. Yeah, the whole nine. I'll send you a pic of that too. But I buy knives a lot.
No, I don't want a picture of you and your apron.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
Please don't do that.
No, I'll be holding a plate or something.
No, I don't care.
I don't care.
Nope. You and an apron, I'm out.
Fair. If my daughter was here, she'd be like, "Gay."
You and Keva. You and Keva both going gay.
Gay. Exactly. Well, listen, I like knives. And I like a particular type of knives. I sharpen my knives every week, every Sunday. That's what I do. I go through, sharpen all the knives. I love knives. They have knives where they say, you know, like, and pans, it's the same thing. They're like, buy this pan, buy this knife, lifetime guarantee. It'll stay sharp for a lifetime. Buy this pan, non-stick, guaranteed for life. And obviously, it's all horseshit. It obviously is like even me. I have the Hexclad pan set from like the Chef Ramsay one. Amazing pans, honestly. They heat up evenly. They heat up fast. Amazing, and it's a mix of. It's kind of like you're cooking in. I don't know. It's like steel, but it's not steel. But you're also cooking in cast iron. Like I don't know. It's a weird mixture. Whatever material they've used. But even still, they say lifetime guarantee, and I'm like, we'll see about that. You know what I mean? It's just not believable because we know we live in a society where nothing lasts like it used to. What do we all say when something breaks? They don't build shit like they used to. They don't make things like they used to. We don't trust these guarantees. We don't trust these long-term commitments that they make. And oftentimes customers don't want them either. Because it's like, if you tell me, like even, I love my Range Rover. I love it, I love it, I love it. Guess what? I love the other one I had 2 years ago too. And I had it for 2 years, and I was like, maybe I'll get another one, right? So the first one, we had it coated. It came coated, and they told me, they said, oh yeah, it's got a 10-year coating on it. I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, yeah, so it'll last, 10 years at least. And I'm like, listen, I'm not going to have the truck for 10 years. I don't care. You know what I mean? But I also believe that every year it's going to be deteriorating then. Okay. So what would have made more sense to me as a customer if they said, hey, it's got a 2-year coating on it, and instead of it costing $5,000, it only cost $300, $400, and then you can come see us again in 2 years, and then you can get a re-up. You can come see us again every year. We can add Uno. We can do this and that. That just makes a lot more sense to me as a customer because it's kind of a pay-as-you-go. As I keep the vehicle, I can keep maintaining it, but it also means I'm coming back to see you for regular service and maintenance, and you're going to take care of the car, clean it properly, put another fresh coat of protection on it. I feel a lot better about the protection in that instance. You know what I mean?
You think we're not good at that because we don't understand follow-up?
I think big time. I think a lot of people aren't good at follow-up because a lot of us, we're so focused as business owners on, I need to get customers.
Get the sale. Get the sale.
Get. Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's not, as much as we're not pushing maintenance to our customers, we're also not maintaining those relationships. And it's like, man, you worked so hard to get that customer, to build up rapport. You mentioned a great word earlier because I think rapport is huge. And you spend all this time and energy with that customer, and then you're just like, well, my job is done.
Mm-hmm.
I cleaned their vehicle. They're happy. They took it home to their wife, and hopefully he'll call me back in the spring.
Well, and if you did a Lamborghini like I did, you would have taken a selfie and put it out, or
yeah.
Put it. I love the guys that go into the Facebook groups and like, check out this, like.
Yeah. Oh man,
I did my like. So that was my joke all last week. I was like, I didn't know. I don't own it, but I cleaned it. Like,
yes, it's like hey, snap. Yeah, it's so true. Oh my god. Yeah, it's so funny. I don't know. I've never been big on that side of things because I don't find it attracts the customers we want. Like it just doesn't. It's the reason why like we haven't even invested in our floors.
It's douchey, so it attracts douchey
It
people.
attracts douchey. That's true. That is very true. Very, very, very true. You know, it's a, and for me, there's something about it. Like, good case in point. I'm about to hire or help. I'm not sure. A mobile detailer, young kid. He's in high school. I'm waiting for my daughter outside of her high school. Pick her up, and there's a little group of kids, and they're like, "Man, nice car!" And I heard them; they kept yelling it. And I'm on my phone doing some stuff, and I just ignore it because I'm like, teenagers, obviously, they're like, "Oh, wow," you know, like they're teenagers, you know what I mean? And so, anyway, the one kid, he's like, "Hey, hey!" And so finally, I look over. He's like, "I was saying nice car." I was like, "Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's a nice car." He's like, "Is it the Sport?" I was like, "No, it's the SVR." He's like, "Oh, nice, nice, nice." And then he said, "I detailed one of those." I was like, interesting. So now he caught my eye. I was like, come over here. So he walks over. I was like, what do you mean you detailed one of these? And he says, yeah, I do in the summertime. I do mobile detailing for some of my neighbors, things like that, some of the vehicles. And one of them, he had an SVR as well. He said, beautiful, beautiful truck. I said, oh, thanks, man. He says, what are you doing now? He says, well, I'm looking forward to another season of detailing. I was like, interesting. And I was like, I actually have a detail shop. And he said instantly, can I have a job? I said, listen, man, things must not be going too well for you then if you're asking for a job. But I was like, listen, I tell you what, come to my place. So he's supposed to come Saturday, so in a couple days. But I said, come to my place, detail the truck. If you do a good job, then we'll talk, you know? And I fully expect he's not going to do the greatest job. He's a young kid. But the point is, he was willing to open that conversation. He was willing to just start something. So it's like, okay, he piqued my interest, and that's all you got to do.
Just on, hey, nice car, right?
Exactly. Now, I profiled him, though. He came over, first thing he did, shook my hand, introduced himself, and instantly he dove into, put my number in your phone. So he jumped right into it. So I'm like, okay, this is someone I could see that if he wants to build this into a career kind of thing, he could do that alongside with us. And if he's got that willingness to just talk to people, he obviously profiled me. He said, oh, okay. He knew his scenario. I didn't know he was a detailer. He knew he was a detailer. He sees a nice car. He's not just some teen yelling because he wants me to rev the engine or something. He's looking at it like, that might be a customer I want, you know? So he's trying to get my attention. So I was like, instantly, I just put the pieces together. So anyways, his name's Abdu. He's going to be coming to detail our truck, and we'll see what happens. But for me, I profile someone like that in a positive way, and I say, you know, he's got a lot of the ingredients that could be a good detailer, a good salesperson, but also you can mold that person into someone that does the proper things like follow-ups and so on and so forth. So it's one of those things that I think we forget as business owners, to do the follow-ups, maintain relationships with our staff, with our customers.
Whoa, we can't. None of us do, man. We got to go get the next guy or get the next guy.
Get,
I think the whole purpose of it is to go, listen, just sing the song. Let's
Luna,
give me my next
You're
part.
getting your check.
And, you know,
You're getting your check.
that's I'm terrible at follow up. I've said it was probably one of my worst things in sales. Like,
Yeah.
especially even at Hyperclean, we would get distribution leads, and it's a big reason why Nick's taken over that. He's much better at following up with people and being a better salesman. Like, I was terrible at it. Terrible. So if I could just have a Luna do it for me,
then why not? Like, why would you? It's a game changer, and exactly, and that's the whole reason OrbisX was built in the first place, was because we're good at executing the follow up in terms of, okay, we're going to do follow ups, we're going to make a plan, put a system in place for follow ups. We're not good at reaching out to our entire customer list. It's too big. We can't possibly. I would have to hire 45 people just to man the phones, just to follow up with customers. Technology, though, gives us that opportunity where you can set something up, and then it's going to just follow up with your customers and set that sequence. And you can do cool stuff, too. You can set up, like, there's tag actions. One of my favorite things in OrbisX. You can literally make a tag for if someone's in a running group, let's say. After you listen to this episode, you're like, you know what? If I find someone that's in a running group, I'm going to ask people what kind of hobbies you do. Hey, do you like running? Do you go for walks and stuff around your neighborhood? Where's a cool place that you've walked to recently? Those kinds of things. You go to their profile, and you hit the tag running group or whatever you call it, and it can actually trigger a message that goes out to them. And it'll say like, hey, had a great chat with you, blah, 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 whatever. mention some stuff about, walking, cool places to go, maybe some new parks or something. Find a place that's maybe an obscure like lookout point in your city, and then be like, hey, any person that comes in, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to tell them about this lookout point. You just go to their profile, you click lookout point, and it's going to send them a message and be like, hey, remember that lookout point I told you about? Here's the directions, here's a picture of it, whatever it is. Send them some info about it, and they're going to be like, holy shit, my next walk, that's where I'm going. And it's just automated. You don't have to type out this message every time. So this is how you can use technology to really hammer down on those groups and build that rapport without actually having to do too much. And then the best part is you can then have Luna do follow-up sequences with that person, be like, hey, it's been a week. Did you get a chance to go see the lookout point? There's different things you can do that are really going to help you nurture those relationships. So you're not always get. I have to get leads. I got to this, that. Yes, you should fill your funnel. But after you've filled your funnel, don't forget about those people that were in your funnel and said yes to your service, were happy with your service, and now they're just kind of falling off the map.
Is that a button? Because you say don't forget. Shouldn't it just be auto default, or is it something they have to click, or what is it?
It depends on how they want to set it up. So there's ways that they can just fully automate the follow-ups and stuff. We recommend doing what we do at our shop I recommend doing what we do at our shop is make things a little more personalized so you can actually build rapport and it's not just some automated generic thing. So we set up tags that will go out to people based on that, and then we'll have follow-ups that go out to them automated after that. So a good example is the lookout point. So there's one not far from us, and a lot of people that do walking around, running, things like that, they actually have never even heard of this place. What we found is that a lot of them aren't long-time residents. They're people that lived here for maybe 5 years, stuff like that. But even me, I've been in the city for 20 years now. Jeez, 20 years. And I only found out about this point maybe 3 years ago, I'd say. And the view is beautiful. The sunset's amazing. And so I took a really nice picture of the sunset that's going down there. And then we include that in the message. I know. Where's Mari? Hey, what do you say? Yeah, Jesus. So I took a picture of the sunset. All right, listen, it's a safe space here. We listen, we don't judge. so I took a picture of the sunset, talk about the view there, the history of the area, stuff like that, and we just trigger them. So we go to their profile and we trigger it because not every customer is into certain things. So we have a similar one for people that are into golf stuff about the different courses that are around. And so what we did is we did a little write-up on each course separately as a separate tag, so that when we talk to them about golfing, usually we say, like, where do you usually golf? I usually go to this course. Okay, well, we don't want them to get information on that course. They're familiar with it. We'll say, oh, have you ever checked out such and such course? No, I never have. Oh, that's interesting. I'd be interested to learn a little bit more about it. Oh, no problem. I'll send you some info. Then we go and tag them with whatever that golf course name is, and it sends them information specific about that. But from that point, then they can get automated things based on what they were tagged with. And so that's how we utilize the system in that way, is that the initial action in those cases is more a personalized thing. All we're doing is we're just taking a customer comes in, we profile them, and then depending on what we've decided or deduced from profiling them, we just turn them a certain direction, and then they start walking that direction into one of our funnels, basically is what happens. And so, we set it up for all kinds of stuff, and we find new ones each year, each season. As we talk to customers, we find out a certain common interest among different customers, and we're like, oh, geez, there might be something here. So let's put something together. The easy one is pets. We start there too. Most people have pets, so we start with pets, and then they either have pets or they lost a pet. There's different things, so pets are a good place to start. And what we've done is gone and looked at all the different dog parks that are around. There's some, like, I don't know what they're called, but like organic pet stores or something. There's some like mom and pop shops that aren't the chains. And so we found some of those and we compiled them as a list. And we're like, oh yeah, we'll send you a list of some really great places that another customer told us about where you can go for some pet supplies and this and that. We have those kinds of things set out. Sometimes it's interest that someone doesn't have yet, but they're thinking about it. And those are big opportunities as well. So we get a lot of people, we ask them, like, we'll be talking to them about something. Oh, my daughter's wedding's coming up. So have you been practicing dancing? Oh, no, I know, we got to do the dance. I got to this, that. Oh, you know what? If you want, I can send you a list of some dance schools that are really good in the city. Stuff like that. So we have like random ones like that as well. Any chance that we can be helpful and memorable to them builds that rapport and cements it in there. Like, imagine the guy's daughter's getting married, and you've got some info that you could send him instantly about it. Jesus, like, I can't think of a better way to, like, you're embedded in his brain now for life. You know, you're Leo DiCaprio, Inception. You just put that in his head, and you're just there now. You know, so it's those kinds of things. But it comes with profiling, studying the customer, and then putting in a little bit of legwork. I say a little bit because we don't write most of this stuff ourselves. That would be insane. We use Luna. We say, hey, Luna, this is what we're looking to do. This is the customer we're going after. Blah, 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 blah. Write me something that I can send them as a follow-up instantly, after 3 days, after 7 days, after 6 months, and boom, 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 boom. She just writes it out for us, and we're like, okay, great. And you know what? If we're not 100% happy, we say, hey, Luna, nice try. Tweak it a little bit. And she'll just boom, 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 boom. So you spend maybe 5 minutes with Luna, and you've just done something for your business. It's a set it and forget it, and it puts you light years ahead of anybody else in the industry, because you're not just competing with other detailers, you're competing with every customer service experience that your customer has. If they stay at a nice hotel, if they go to a nice restaurant, you're competing with all of those experiences, because the memorable ones they're going to look at, even if it's not a detail shop, they'll be like, geez, you know, I really wish the detailer did this, or messaged me after a few months, because, you know, when I went to eat at, you know, this place, they did that. They sent me this. So you're literally competing with all of those customer experiences. And here we are in this industry so focused on the new guy that opened up down the road doing $25 washes, when you don't realize you're actually in competition with every customer experience that's out there. So tighten up your game and start doing what, like me and Marshall do. You go out to eat somewhere and you pay attention. You start to look at the business mechanics, you know, just as much as like watching someone parallel park. There's, what kind of customer is that? You know, any little interaction in life, you start to see, well, how does this apply to business? How does this make me a more sharp business owner? You know, things like that. So pay attention to the world around you. Profile the world. Yeah, that was, man, I wasn't even meaning to have that as a dope outro. That was, there we go. Solid, you know? So anyways, guys, definitely happy Memorial Day to everybody if I missed you. Happy King Day to us, I guess. Daddy's home. The king is here. The king is back, baby. What a weird feeling that is. But we're changing all of our money now. So you guys are considering getting rid of the penny or something, and then and we're putting the king's face on ours. Yeah, because new stepdad. It's always fun. Anyways, guys, appreciate you as always. We'll talk soon, and we'll have more juicy tidbits for you next week. All right, cheers, man. See ya.